let's get into let's talk about zombies.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about zombies. Check us out, guys. CDC.gov, the actual CDC website, has a zombie preparedness plan. I'm not joking. Look at this. This is from the CDC website. They have a zombie preparedness blog. Wonder why zombies, zombie apocalypse, and zombie preparedness continue to live or walk dead on CDC website? As it turns out, what first began as a tongue-in-cheek campaign to engage new audiences with preparedness message has proven to be a very effective platform. We continue to reach and engage a wide variety of audiences on all hazards preparedness via zombie preparedness. All right, so basically what they're saying is, look, it has nothing to do with zombies. It has everything to do with people are actually tuning in because they want to hear what we're talking about. Which is not exactly what I was hoping to see. But, I mean, when you got stuff like this...
Zombies.
This is from the New York Fire Department, okay? At 2 a.m. this morning, one of our fire department EMS paramedic units responded to a routine call in Brooklyn while assisting the victim onto the stretcher, a job which is done on almost every emergency medical call. Paramedic Jenna Piscitello, sorry if I'm butchering it, I probably am, was viciously bitten on her face by a patient. This left her with extensive injuries and possible permanent facial scars. Yeah, ridiculous. She got bitten. This is happening. This is not just the beginning. I remember multiple times over the past year of people biting.
Did you hear about that guy in Florida that was on bath salts that ate that guy's face off?
Yes, I did hear about that.
Crazy.
When was that?
Like 4 or 5 years ago or
That's
something?
nuts, though.
Yeah.
What is going on with this?
What's this story? What was the patient under some sort of drug induction or?
Let's see. One of our badly injured. How much longer? I don't think it actually goes into the details. I don't know much of the details about the patient themselves. It says the patient will be prosecuted by the Brooklyn District Attorney. That's all it says about the patient itself. But it even goes on to, we're all familiar with the fictional killer Hannibal Lecter. And now for her, it's now a reality. That's scary though. People are straight up biting each other now.
I think the history of zombies, and I may be wrong about this, is when during the plague, or probably plagues throughout history, they would think like, oh, this person's heart's not beating anymore, or this person's dead. We're not getting a pulse, so they bury the person, but then the person wasn't actually dead. They were just like in a state of comatose or something. They're slowed, the breathing was slowed, and they'd crawl out of the grave and they'd come back to town.
I mean,
people would be like, oh my God,
I'm sure.
Kill it, burn it with fire.
That might have happened, but.
And maybe they came back hungry. I don't know, or psychotic, like who knows?
And it was a full moon, so they were lunatics also.
Yeah.
And
werewolves, I think, were people that were bit by and got rabies and would go crazy and like froth at the mouth and like I think that was the history of werewolves. I think.
You think?
Yeah.
You said I think.
I don't know.
Times.
I wasn't there.
You said it before and after that.
I can't tell if I'm making this up or if I read it. My last 20 years of my life blend together.
Well, whose fault is that?
It's probably mine. I blame Mother Earth. No, I blame myself.
She's the one who made those mushrooms.
You grew that fine herb, woman.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so that's the zombie segment. Whatever.
But cannibalism. So what do you think? Like the CDC's like, watch out, next to zombies.
Well,
we showed you The Walking Dead. Get ready.
They straight up have like this. Check this out. This is a zombie pandemic. This is straight up preparedness 101 for a zombie pandemic. Have water, food, flashlight, battery, extra batteries, first aid kit, medications, multi-purpose supplies, sanitation, copies of personal documents, cell phone with charger, family disaster plan, extra cash, emergency blanket, map of the area, and then it goes on. This is straight up. Oh, here, let me go to page 1. See if I can just start it over. Okay, look. They straight up have this cartoon or comic book of zombies. And it's like, it's essentially like a zombie attack.
The CDC?
This is the CDC website. This is a zombie. This is like this dude like, I should get prepared. And then his neighbor comes and attacks him. And, you know, she's all zombied out. And he's like, oh my gosh, slams the door on her. and then he goes on this zombie adventure. Like, this is, look, the CDC. Like, what is this?
Okay, what's making me think, and this is a little dark, is...
Are they preparing us for something?
Yeah. I think what's happening is, now what Hitler did was he told the German people that the Jewish population was rats. He used the word rats. If people become starving and out of money and desperate, and they start roving the streets looking for food, and the government or someone's like, they're zombies, and we're desensitized and we're okay with them mowing them down because they're zombies.
Oh, geez.
So we got to be careful.
Interesting. I mean, look at what happened in the 1920s in the Soviet Union, right? I mean, the farmers, they had their land taken and given to the poor people who didn't know how to farm the land. So the land rotted and there was no food, and then everyone started starving and millions of people died, and they started eating each other. This is real. You can look this up, and there's pictures of people selling body parts on the side of the road, and Jordan Peterson talks about this. You don't know what you are capable of until you have no food, until you are completely starving. That's why I say all the time, you got to recognize what we've got right now and be grateful for this. We could go to the store and have any type of food we want, anything. And if you can't get it at the store, guess what? You just type it up online. You get it sent to you. We live in an amazing time. We have no idea how good it is. And all these people that are out there complaining about this little BS and these microaggressions, like, yo, you have no idea. You have zero clue what it's like to live without all of this, so that you can actually be focused on the microaggressions that mean absolutely nothing in the scheme of things. Because this kind of stuff has happened in the past.
Like in the not so distant past too. 90 years
100 years ago. 100 years ago this happened. Think about it. 100 years.
So we have citizens, if they start, like the Federal Reserve just printed another, I mean, I heard that the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac bailout of 2008 was actually a $14 trillion bailout. I haven't looked too deep into this, but that we've only paid $4 trillion of the $14 trillion over 20 years that we're going to pay into that.
Wow.
They just printed another $1.9 trillion, I think, in COVID debt relief. If you look at the M1 money supply skyrocketing, the value of the dollar is basically plummeting. And you see crypto kind of countering that by skyrocketing as well, as like a hedge against the dollar. If people lose their money and can't buy a $19 hamburger from McDonald's anymore, and they start to starve, and then they start to eat people on the side of the road, and then they were told that they're zombies, like, okay, I'm reiterating my point basically. Don't fall for the propaganda is my point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we need to grow our own food. We have to let go of green lawns. Like,
that's a good point.
Green lawns are such a waste of energy, when we can have community parks where everyone, like, I grew up in, like, became an adult in New York City, and there was no lawns anywhere. You go to Central Park, there's a huge, Shepherd's Field. There's like massive green lawn. People are playing Frisbee. There's a community feel to it, and we need that. The village green is when everyone would go to, that's where the grass was, and then everyone would be growing their own food and trading. Like, I would grow peppers, you would grow cucumbers, they would grow tomatoes, and we'd start trading, and between the three of us we'd have a good balance of food. I would also have some pigs, you'd have some goats, he might have some cows, whatever, and like, we would work and we would survive together. We don't have that anymore. We are all of us now at the mercy of not any one person, but society. We're at the mercy of society, because if society stops functioning, we don't have any food left. I mean, there's very few people that are prepped. Like, people make fun of preppers, but you shouldn't make fun of preppers. They're essentially poised to live off the land, which is what humans have been doing for thousands of years.
Yeah, I would love to really delve into Elon's boring company and start tunneling, because I could imagine cities with all the roads underground, and also we turn all the roads into green and grow and make it all nature, so you don't have to look both ways when you're out and about. It's all just like nature. And then we could grow fruit everywhere above. We could always have trees and
I like that.
Farming everywhere.
I saw a picture of his boring company, and it showed a picture of LA, and then it said the future, and it was like green LA, and then it was kind of like a cutout of the land, so you could see underneath, and it almost looked like looking at an ant.
Oh, nice.
An ant colony, but it was concrete tunnels, and all I can think of is the fault line right there. you know, the seismic activity, like how Earth moves. Earth is a living thing, you know. She's constantly moving. She's molten. She's got a molten core. The fault line, 1 2-inch shift will make all of that obsolete.
Interesting.
You know, so like building underground, I mean, we got to make it so that it's impenetrable
right,
to that.
Resistant.
And how is that possible? Can
probably never.
We can't. Yeah.
Like, our roads, our cities are vulnerable to earthquakes. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there's ever any like preventing them completely, but I wonder how much more vulnerable tunnels are than roads.
Or a tsunami. Imagine, like, say the sea level does raise like 100 meters. I actually, man, where is this? I saved it on my phone. I don't know how I could bring it up real quick. It's a very interesting it's a very interesting picture. I'm gonna just give it to you to see, and I'll explain it to you guys. And what it is it shows the sea level raising up 100 meters and going down 100 meters, and the difference is significant. It's insane how much 100 meters is, and you know, like how much land mass we gain and lose from 100 meters. Or maybe is it 500 meters?
Well, it goes up to 1,000.
Oh, 1,000 meters.
If it goes up 1,000, we lose like 90% of the mass,
check
land
this out.
mass on Earth.
I'm just going to show you guys.
Wow.
All right, so check this out. Is this going to work? I mean, you guys can kind of see down here how little landmass that is. That's 1,000 meters more of water. But even regardless, right? So say we don't have, even if it's 10 meters. 10 meters is a lot. That's like,
especially if you're at
the
sea
height
level.
of this house. Or granted, we're like way up on a hill, so we're not worried about it. But think LA, that's where the Boring Company is starting.
Think about that a lot.
So LA's right on the water. If 10 meters up, where's that water going to go?
Like all the way into Santa Monica.
Into the
all
tunnels.
That's a good point.
Right? Like, I was in New York when Sandy hit. New York was flooded.
Oh yeah, it destroyed a lot of the subway system.
Dude, New York was flooded, man. Like you could.
Oh, I was there too. Where were you?
I was in Brooklyn.
Me too.
In a high area.
Me too. Where were you in Brooklyn?
In Bedside. I was in
So was I. What the heck?
Seriously?
I stood out in the hurricane. I was like in the wind. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Like, it's gonna come, but it didn't hit Brooklyn.
We could both do the Lane Pittman move where.
What is that?
He's the guy who is the meme of him holding an American flag in a hurricane, and he's just like whipping his hair around.
I would do that.
Shout out to Lane Pittman, because people don't know his name, but he is the epic. He created that epic meme of him fighting the hurricane to hold the American flag.
That's awesome.
It's pretty crazy to think of how vulnerable we really are to nature.
Especially tunnels. That's a good point. I'm gonna think a lot more on that.
Right. You know, so like it sounds good on paper, like, yeah, have green everywhere. But wouldn't it make more sense to understand how gravity works and manipulate it and turn it into like a Fifth Element thing where we have like floating cars? Or obviously I'm sci-fiing it out.
Elon was worried that parts of the cars would fall on people.
Right.
So he didn't want to go that direction. But yes, I think airplanes are amazing.
But the thought that he could even go in that direction is like, oh, come on, Elon. He's like, well, whatever, going into space and going below, you know, getting the best of both worlds.
We can make it out of super lightweight parts like aerogel. We should go on a deep dive on aerogel someday.
What's aerogel?
It's a super lightweight material that's incredibly heat resistant. Like you can 110, I don't know how many thousands of degrees of heat it can handle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Lighter than melting away, or what?
It doesn't really melt. I don't know what happens ultimately. It probably burn at some point, but they mix it and they made like hydrogel. They have like this thing called Airloy. It's like an alloy of aerogel that's super hard. You take a hammer to it and you can machine it, make like spaceships out of it.
Wow.
So we can make super lightweight stuff that if it broke off and fell, it wouldn't.
Let's do it next week. Let's talk about what aerogel is and like get into it.
A lot of ideas about
what it's used for,
how to engineer like cool stuff out of it.
Cool. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Cool.